All right, and good afternoon, and welcome to this Sunday edition of the Coach's Corner with your co-host Oliver Blue, John Ebron, and Wayne Moody. All right, but hello everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's special edition of Coach's Corner. We're glad to be here, and we do this 1 hour session several times during the year as an opportunity for the three of us to come together. Uh, and we love coming together because we're really good friends. We're really good business partners, and we love each other's company. And but we do this in order to come together collectively to what we say to add value and build some goodwill in the platforms and communities in which we all serve. And John Ebron is the founder of Ebron Coaching and Consultant. And John is located over in San Antonio, Texas. My man Wayne is back in his home country and has celebrated 1 year being back in his home country. Wayne is from the country of Belize, and he returned there just over a year ago, and he's the minister of transformation for his country. And after spending 20 plus years in the U.S., uh, Wayne said it was time to go back home. and and then of course yours truly, Oliver. Here I'm here in North Carolina, and what we have in common is that we love helping people. Is that uh, we love personal development, uh, and we love creating an environment and relationships, and we love impacting the world in such a way that uh, it looks like what the original intent was. And so we're not so much here this afternoon to teach you, but we're coming together to love you and to inspire you in this 2026 moment, which looks so much different than even 2 years ago. The world is not the same, and I'm sure if you've been around the block, if you haven't just been in the bed with your head over the cover, you know that there's been drastic changes all around the world. And but the world has always changed, and it will always continue to change. But we believe that we're in a dynamic moment uh, for an opportunity, and so we just invite you to just sit as we, have some conversation uh, on a subject matter that we think that is a concern or an awareness that everyone has been impacted in one way or the other. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, what's up? What's up?
It is a beautiful afternoon here in Belize.
I wish I had some of that melanin you got used to there, Wayne. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Listen, and how did you get your grades to cooperate like that? My grades come in like the ends of wires, and yours look like that you got your own personal spot in the Book of Revelations.
Hey, it's genetic. I remember when I was living in the States, I would go to the gym, right?
Yeah,
The young guys would come and say, "Man, how did you get that color?" And I
right. They think you dyed it, right?
genetics, you got to get aged because
Listen, they think you dyed it. You have to tell them, no, I lived it.
Or that it's been painted on.
oh,
It's
they
so full.
literally they
Love it.
literally paid to get this color now today.
Exactly, right.
Hey guys, you notice I don't even try. I just keep it slick because I'm too patchy.
Yeah, I've all but given up. We beat it back. We beat it back as much as we can, but you know,
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being here. And again, these guys are all uh, expertise. They have expertise in certain areas. You guys that follow me know that I have a real passion about spirituality and identity, and spent a tremendous amount of time uh, in my messaging on that subject. Uh, but we live in a world that there's a world of objectives, and objects, and so you, you know if you got to be here, then you need a vision for how to live here, and how to live here responsibly.
Yeah.
And so that's where Wayne A. Moody comes in that he has this gift towards visioning.
Hmm.
And one of the things we kid about all the time is that Wayne's imagination, we have to shut it down at times, because he's always imagining, uh, this and something greater, right? And
Yeah.
so he brings that gift to the table. And then finally, if once you know who you are and you got a vision for where you want to go and what you want to do and what you want to be, then you need to put some structure around that, right? Because if you don't put no structure around that, the very uh, the very identity and vision you have could destroy you. And so that's where John Ebron who is an expert on bringing a structure and to any situation, so that John is good about organizing things. And so in his coaching endeavors, he does a lot of teaching and master classes on the round of just structuring your life, right? Putting it all together. You know, if you live in a house, most houses, you know, have electricity, and if that electricity just came into your
Mhm.
house without any structure, it would eventually destroy the house, right?
That'd be a problem.
Yeah, it would be a huge problem. And that's why outside of every house, there's a transformer somewhere that's taking that energy, right, and regulating that energy so it can come into the home in such a way that it doesn't tear the home down or burn the home down, right? And um, uh, so that's what structure does. It keeps us from destroying our vision and walking away from our identity. And so you got all of this among the three of us. This is the Coach's Corner, and we're delighted to be here for the next 45 minutes and just share. And we want to talk about something today. I just want to pick these guys. Um, uh, I want to stir these guys up, right? I didn't even tell them what we were going to do today, because I wanted to generate an organic conversation. Uh, the last thing we need is another lesson. Most people are indulged or over irrigated with information.
Hmm.
There's so much information, and what people are really searching for today, what I find is that people are looking for uh, you know, their humanity. They're looking for their humanity in the midst of this current world that seems to be trying to pull us all apart, or to
Hmm.
pull things all apart. And so, how do you maintain your humanity? And when you say humanity, when I say humanity, humanity has to do with, it does have to do with identity. It does have to do with uh, what vision do we have for our life and for the world around us and for our families and for our businesses and, for our communities. And when we talk about humanity, humanity uh, is not some wild animal, but we're built. I mean, everything about us is systematized. Everything about us is a integration and a cooperation of systems. I mean, our physical body is a collection of systems that work together, right? And so here in 2026, we know that's the elephant in the room. We know that people are experiencing some uncertainties, and that there are things that are major concern to all of us. And so just wanted to kind of lay that out there today, and we just want to have some organic conversation around it. So I'd like to start out by saying, or asking the question, how do we maintain our inner freedom? How do we keep our nervous system grounded? If you
Mhm.
know what I mean, right? And how do we stay connected when the world around us is right now is constantly inviting us into a state of fear? Uh, there's outrage, there's this sense of separation and reaction to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So from these experts that are part of this coach's corner, I'm just going to lay it out there. Let these guys, let's just have some conversation around it. And what are you seeing out there, and how are you guiding your communities? So, and we're going to get it from the perspective from Wayne, who lives in Belize, lives outside of the United States,
Yeah.
and John and I live in two different parts of the United States. So we bring all of that to the table today. What say ye, guys? What say ye?
Well,
I set you up.
yeah, you did. You set us up nice and good. Listen, when you were talking, I thought about this joke that Bishop Jakes told in one of his sermons. It was actually it was a sermon on how to deal with sexual tension, for lack of better terms. And this young preacher was asking this old deacon. He says, "Well, how old were you when you finally got over all the lust and all the temptation?" And the deacon looked up at her real slow and said, "You got to find somebody older than me."
Because he's still dealing with it, right?
He's still dealing with it. And so I think I'm still trying to figure out how to, maintain, in this fiery world. But I would tell you, it's so interesting when you are someone who truly believes. So my concept in life is that I am not living my truth. I am living the truth, which makes me true. I'm an expression and a representation. It doesn't start and stop with me, right? And so, with that in mind, I always, like you said, I'm a structure guy. I'm always wanting to be in compliance with the greater all, right? And so, I look for patterns of success. And motivational speaker Jim Rohn, he says, young kid asked him, "How do you be successful?" He says, "Find out how things work and then work them that way." Right? Real simple, not easy, but real simple. And so I look for patterns of success, and it's difficult for me because I it's hard for me to find that balance, which is what I was thinking when you were talking. It's about depolarizing and to quote NDRE, come back to the middle,
Yes.
right? And because what I'm thinking of is I think what really helps people is to have an application of faith that allows them to be okay with not being in charge of everything because you're not. But at the same time, not using faith as a scapegoat for not doing what is personally your responsibility to do on this earth and in this time that we've been blessed to live in. So what some people call faith, I call being lazy, right? And what some people call faith, I call mastering the attractive art of allowing and not dictating, right? We put that responsibility on ourselves of being everything, and it has to go the way we say it's going to go. We're setting ourselves up for suffering. So I think it's coming into the middle, depolarizing. As I've been studying lately, because we're not going to do a lesson today, but in the law of polarity, I'm learning that there aren't these two opposing things. There's the same thing from different poles. And when you're on this side, all you can see is what's on this side. And when you're on this side, all you can see is what's on that side. When you come back to the middle, you find freedom. And I think in the most specific points in our lives, if we can, when we start to sense discomfort and pain, life is not happening the way we want it to happen, to stop for a moment and say, am I getting extreme? Am I getting on one side or the other and making enemies where there's no need for enemies, making conflict where there's no need for conflict? And if so, how do I allow myself to come back to the middle, right? So that's kind of general, but hopefully that's helpful for someone to have a gauge to look at the activity in their life and see where they can do some work. That's what comes to my mind.
Hey, man. Yeah, that was helpful to me. I mean, I had all kind of things going through me as you was talking there, and
Uh,
yeah, center. What is center, right? Who
mm,
determines what center is? And so, thank you. So Wayne, here's one for you. Uh, we don't get to choose the world we woke up to, but we do get to choose what consciousness that we meet that world with. We get to choose the attitude in which we meet the world, and that goes into what John was saying. Like, get to a place where we're allowed to what is to be what is, because we can't control it. But the one thing that we can control is our awareness, our consciousness, our attitude towards what we woke up to. What do you say?
Well, recently I've been soaking in a lot of Stoic philosophy. And one of the things that I'm practicing more is, and the Stoic philosophy says when something happens, you pause and you ask yourself the question, do I have any control over this? Or what is this that is happening right now, right? And if it's something that I have no control over, then what I have to do is, with the capacity that I have, let it go. And if there's something that I can do about it, that thing that I know that I can do about it, then just do that thing. Because, like you said, when I wake in the morning, my feet hit the ground. Literally, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is an affirmation. And the affirmation that I say is, I am the Son of the Most High, created in the image and likeness of God. Today is going to be an awesome day. I will fulfill my purpose. It's a mantra that I've become accustomed to saying when I get up, right? And my daily practices is the things that helps me because, I mean, things are happening everywhere we are. Recently, two of my very close friends transitioned, and both lived in California where I had moved away from. And one of them was like my big brother. And here I was boohooing in Belize. He is in LA. And I mean, I had to deal with that reality that he had transitioned, right? But how did I keep myself centered? I had to go back to what I believe. I believe that the body has an expiration date, but who he is this spiritual being that has transitioned. And I refuse to say he was, I say he is, because he is alive. But I think for me, my daily practices is what helped me to stay centered because here I was getting ready to move like over a month ago. The place that I was supposed to move in, all of a sudden I found out that it was not available. I already told Elise for my last place that I'm not going to be there. So here I was, like you would say, between a rock and a hard place somewhere. I mean, if I say I didn't feel all kind of emotions, I would be like a liar. And I think our humanity, we want to embrace our humanity, and but you want to know what is the spiritual side of who I am, my divinity, because I mean, the day before I was supposed to sign the lease, still didn't have the money in the account. I did everything that I was supposed to do. It wasn't like, John says, people pray and say, oh Lord, please help me. And they're praying, oh Lord, help me. Listen, what did I do to get the money? I had done everything in my possible capacity to do. And I reached out to the folks that I rented from because they were supposed to replace my deposit back because I left the place better than I found it. But the money was not deposited. And I remember the renter sent me the message the evening before we went into the next day and said, if the deposit is not made tomorrow, the lease is void. How was I feeling? Ooh. And I had to deal with the emotions, but yet I did what I could and I let it go and I went to sleep that night. And then I woke up the next morning to look and see the money was in the account. Now, listen, people say, oh, it was a miracle. It was a miracle, all right, but I had to do what I had to do to make sure that it was there. So, with everything that is happening, and I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt said, all the water in the world cannot harm you unless it gets inside of you. And but I have to make sure that all this stuff happening on the outside don't get inside of me. So that's my 2 cents. As far as how do I stay centered? I do the little things that I do over and over and over again. I get up in the morning after I do my rituals. I go to walk. I come back and I do my exercise, and I make sure that I'm good.
Wow. So, yeah, you said a lot there, and having having a morning routine. I got and staying with what you believe, your belief system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uh, practicing, some of uh, the things that has been in your life for a long time as I've known you. I noticed you said you practiced the pause, right? You noticed what you was noticing, right? And so you stayed with what you know that it's principle centered, and that's what I think is being demanded of all of us.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're though it seems to be chaotic, but we're being called. I think it's a time in which all of us are being called, right? Like John said, we're all being called back to a place of centeredness.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been we're called to return back to our humanity,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is our divinity. Because when you understand
Right.
the two,
Yeah.
you know, the two has become one.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
The two has become one. Your humanity is your divinity, and your divinity is your humanity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of it has its foundation in the four-letter word LOVE, love. And I think this moment is really demanding of all of us
Yeah.
to return to our first love, right? Because in within humanity, the central theme there is our oneness, our brotherhood, regardless of what continent or what country or what nationality or what state or what religion or what profession, all of the diversities of expression. Ultimately, it doesn't work if it doesn't work from a place of unity, from a place of oneness, right?
That's so
And
good.
so if you ask me the question, like like Wayne said, the, all the water in the world can't negatively impact you unless it gets inside of you,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so that water is somewhat metaphoric for the things that are emerging right now in these times, right? Fear and uncertainty and loneliness and loss of identity, political polarization, financial pressures, distrust, information overload, lack of purpose, feeling of powerlessness. These are all elephants in a world that seems to be on fire right now. And so I think for me, where I have found to be the most effective way to calm my nervous system, right, is to turn within, is to spend that time with myself and to remind myself, right, and that's the practice that I have used to remain focused, to remain at peace, and to stay uh, committed
Hmm.
to the ideas and belief that's a part of my who I am, right? And so yeah, so really it's a time of testing. People are being tested about what they believe
Hmm.
and whether what they believe add to or is subtracting from their life and the lives of other people. So it's a time of evaluation, the way I see it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, this time is really I think it's an invitation back to authenticity. Because what's common now is opportunity. It really is common, right? There's so many things that you could do. You could do this and this and this and this and this. And so if you're someone who's really not your core, you're not really connected with that, right? Then you're going to be situationally driven by everything that pops up in your space, especially for our emerging entrepreneurs out there, right? Well, first of all, we're in an era now where entrepreneurship is looked at very differently, right? You know, we should think like you had employees and then you have business owners. And if you're really good, you become an investor, right? That old traditional success model. But now it is really peculiar, even if you're an employee, if you don't have a little something, something going on the side, right? So now everybody is a business owner, right? Even if you're a full-time employee. So being entrepreneurially minded is not just reserved for one class or one demographic of people anymore. I think it's become more even killed because there's so many opportunities out there. And not to get political or too, hyper on beating up on popular culture, but in many enterprises and many industries, the loyalty to its employees has gone away, right? We've been long decades away from the gold watch era, right? Where you're going to work with one organization for 20, 50 years and get your gold watch at the end. But even now, right, it is super common for someone to, you know, just be groomed to take on new responsibilities for the sake of the enterprise. And then the very next day, be told, turn in your badge, we're cutting your position altogether because we found out how we can make more money to get rid of you, right? And so now people are looking at how do that's the fire, right? How do I stay balanced in all of that? And when we don't have a center, when we don't have ethics, we don't have morals, we don't have a code, we don't have as what I, in my practice to help people kind of build as a creed, that says I am this and consequently I am not that. You don't have that to measure against these quote unquote opportunities that come your way. And you will sell your soul to the highest bidder that you have access to, right? And so I think this is a calling, an invitation back to authenticity so that you're not thrown here and there by every situation. Because people are going to want you to be the engine to their next big thing, right? And if someone is quote unquote using you, but it works for your stage in life, I can understand that. Be strategic, right? But if you have no vision for yourself and you have no self identity, you have no authenticity, and people are just using you because they can, then that is where I think the fire begins to consume us. I can't quote, Wayne, you probably can quote it better than I can, but I've often heard Jim Rohn say this, like if you don't have a plan for your life, someone else does. And what they plan for you is not much, right? So you have to come back to yourself. Do not get caught out there running behind every fire, every opportunity, everything that springs up that says, I could be doing this, and I could be doing that, and I could be doing this. And why not a little bit of that? And I can do a little bit of this. And before you know it, you don't have no clue who you are, right? And so, and this is another thing I heard Bishop Jake say years back I thought was so powerful. He says, I do a whole bunch of different things. But if you knew me, I'm only really doing one thing,
Right.
you know? And so, because he knows himself, he can do ministry and books and movies and plays and businesses and nonprofits. And to you, it's like, what doesn't he do? But from his advantage, because he stays centered to himself, he's doing one thing. It manifests in a lot of different ways, but it's one thing, right? So I think that is a counterproductive way of looking at the current fire is I'm being pulled in every which direction. I think a helpful way of looking at it is I want to accept this invitation back to authenticity. And what does it really look like for me to be centered?
Wow. You put a lot into that right there, and there's so much content and substance to what you just shared that I'm gonna have to clip that out, send that and send that to you so you can build something around, so you can put some structure around that, because that needs to be flushed out a whole lot more. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. That's really good. Yeah. Well, so many things you said there, um, and I think, did we lose Wayne?
I think
No, he's still. We lost his video, but he's still here.
yeah.
But there was a moment this week where I was thinking along those same lines,
Mm,
and I made a post earlier that dealt with what you just mentioned, and it says, like, I made the post because we all in this artificial intelligence.
yeah.
Since you talked about authenticity being the um, order of the day, the invitation, and but we're been over inundated the uh, with the artificial intelligence, which is no more than data. All the data that's ever been out there been put in such a way that we can now consume it. But I
Yeah.
said it this way. I said that the greatest danger of artificial intelligence may not be that machines become human. That's not the greatest danger, because all the talk about machines replacing humans, because machines are less costly, more productive. That's the whole idea. I say so. So the greatest danger is not that machines become humans, but it may be humans becoming increasingly machine-like.
Mm,
We becoming machine-like instead of human-like. Right. And so you mentioned chasing all the different opportunities because they're everywhere, right? To the point where uh, we're ineffective, right? That we don't do anything well because we're trying to, we're chasing after, every temptation uh, to make something happen real quick.
right.
And so it's so like the um, the post says, it's not so much of AI becoming uh, replacing human. It's more the human beings. We're becoming more AI like or more
Right. Yeah.
machine like, right? And um, we're walking away from our humanity.
Wow.
Yeah.
John was talking about all this stuff, right? And I can share my own space that I'm in, because being back home, every single person, every single era, there are things that I can do. And one of the words that I've learned, which is so special for me, is no.
Big word, right?
I I have a passion for transformation, and I could do a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff, but staying focused is one of the things that helps me in the midst of everything that is happening. Because a little bit about what's happening in my country right now. There's a lot of politics is a big thing right now with the ministers of government, some of the government ministers right now, there are big questions about their money, and they have been doing a lot of stuff as far as the people are thinking that they've been doing a lot of stuff that is not necessarily right as far as stealing and doing stuff that is, I mean, I can't say it's right, I can't say it's not right, I can't say doing it or anything, but there's a loss of trust as far as our government. No new news, right?
Right.
So the same thing as far as loss of trust of government. And my vision and my purpose, I know I exist. I exist to support people to truly live the life that I believe they desire, the life that is like God given. That is what it's all about, transformation, right? Where people know what it is, do what it is, to become what it is. And I remember a couple years ago I was talking to John about where I wanted to go, right? We're talking about the importance of becoming that person because I had to become the minister of transformation. And Oliver, you're the one that said, man, you are the minister of transformation. But that was like, because I've been through this whole process of doing this thing to now, this is who I am. So I step into a space, a minister of transformation. Now, it's not just I've read in a book or I've been to a seminar or a conference or I did a course. I embody transformation whereby the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and becomes a butterfly. That's the cycle of daily. Daily, I'm actually becoming, and then I'm leading people in this direction because this is what I experience and this is what I live. I'm coaching people to see the dreams they have become a reality because the dream that I have become a reality, something greater still. But to be focused is so important to deal with all the stuff that's happening because if you don't stay in alignment with what it is, tomorrow, later, something is going to knock the wind out of you. And when it knocks the wind out of you, it's like, here I go to Hawaii, and the wind gets knocked out of me. And I'm feeling every emotion possible, frustrated, angry, pissed off. But I have my, my friends like you guys that circle me and remind me, where did you say you were going again? Okay, yes, that's where I was going. Okay, you're still heading there. But to be honest, when life hits you, I think a lot of times what happens, people want to put off, especially in religious circles. Oh, how are you doing? Oh, praise the Lord, thank you, Jesus. What? Listen, don't tell me that, and I am waiting for the body to pay the rent.
But you know what? You make a great point, right? Like, I don't know who said this to me, but it's just a common phrase. But life is like a heartbeat, right? There's ups and there's downs. The last thing you want your life to do is to flatline, right?
That's bad news.
That's bad news. So that means I should, if I am managing my life, and I am not the best at this, I should have time of planning, preparation, activity, evaluation that goes back into my planning, preparing, and activity, right? My life should have seasons like my planet has seasons, right? If I'm being true, am I following the truth, right? And that means that there's times of activity, but there should be some downtime in your life where you're not doing activity, but you are doing life. So those times of non-activity, you should be preparing for those downtimes in life. I think, and I don't even want to say this because I don't want to be responsible for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So y'all better appreciate this out there in the universe who's listening to us. It's really immature of us to not expect downtimes in life. It really is. We should be preparing ourselves with our life, not just our activity, but our life for the downside of the heartbeat, which means we should be transformational. We should not just be transactional, right? We should be building relationships, not so that we can get something from each other, right? It is a relationship. I don't call it a relationship. I call it mutual manipulation, where I'm just trying to get you in my life because you got something I want, and I'm gonna use you up. And you're trying to get me in your life because I got something you want, and you're gonna use me up. And so long as I'm okay with the way you use me, and you okay with the way I use, let's call it a relationship. That is not what we're looking for. Right? That is mutual manipulation. That is not a transformational relationship that will turn a caterpillar into a butterfly or a world on fire into a world of peace. Right? So while we're in the activity, when things are hot, roll with it. When things are low, build. You know, I say this probably at least once a week in my webinars that I teach throughout the week. Your life is a parallel project. You should be building your life as you're living your life. But if you stop building your life, eventually the living is going to get harder and harder and harder. So don't just eat up all the fruit. Store some in the storehouse, right? Don't just flash your degrees. Go back and get some additional credits, some educational units, right? Keep yourself sharp because if you're living and your downtime, you might be living so good, your downtime looks like my uptime, right? You got good problems, as my brother tell me all the time. I want your problems. No, you
Mhm.
don't. If you want to do what I'm doing, you should have did what I did. You don't want my stuff. But anyway, that's another subject for another time. But whether it's however the up or down looks, we should be preparing for those things. And I truly believe the greatest preparation for the valleys of our lives is less material and more relational. We should be growing from dependence, I say this all the time, to independence, to interdependence. And that interdependent reality that we build, yes, it causes an upward spiral of success, and we winning, right? I can't sing for doggone, but I used to sing that song for T-Pain all the time. All I do is win, win. I stopped singing that song. That song was a lie. Somebody living that life. That ain't me.
Hey,
Sometimes I'm not winning. So sometimes I have that upward spiral of success going, yes. But when I have that downward spiral, I can say, Oliver, man, I'm in it today. And you say, okay, let's go in it. Let's dig out of it. Let's work through it. I can say, Wayne, man, I'm sick of these people. All right, we gotta get you out there because you can't deal. Humans is kind of your thing. You gotta deal with people. So come on, get up, right? It's my relationships that fuels the transformation and makes the transformation worth it. Moving, staying human, as you say, moving through the fire and continuing to grow. And so, yes. Everybody, I celebrate your independence. I celebrate you getting out of a dependent status where you can do your thing. That is wonderful. Do all of that. Buy all those products, right? Do all of that. But independence is a stepping stone to the greatest manifestation that you have as an expression of the divine, which is interdependence.
hmm.
Now, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You ain't got to buy this part. But if you know, you know. I and the Father, whatever
Well,
we are,
we are one.
right? So the
Yeah.
interdependent reality is the greatest expression of the divine, and that independent step is important, but it's a step. It's a step. And it makes it worth it to go through the fire when you're still reaching for interdependent reality.
Hmm. We are one, and I always say this: you take a deep breath. That source that's breathing me is breathing you, is breathing everybody, and therefore we if we practice namaste, the divine in me sees and celebrates and honors the divine in you, no matter what state of awareness you are,
Yeah,
because then it means that there goes I, like people say, but for the grace of God, I could be there, and I realize that because of what you're going through, then I need to have compassion. I don't even need to know the whole story, but all I need to know is that, man, I want to be here for you in the way that I can. I don't have an S on my chest, so I know that I can't be doing all the programs. I can't be on all the boards. I can't be. My grandmother used to have a saying. She says, she said, you can't be at every pan that gets hit. That is because when you have a party, they're hitting the pan, right? So she said you can't be at every place where the pan is hit. Because that means that I can't go to all the parties. I might be invited to all the parties, and I might feel like
And
I
go.
want to go to all the parties. But you know, for me at 64, my 9 o'clock comes and I want to fall asleep.
Hey, how about 8 o'clock?
And
Let
listen,
the church say
hey,
amen.
in here, the guys came 2 weeks ago, right? These are young, strong, energetic.
And they come to party.
Oh, and
They
then they come
came to
and
believe to have a good time.
they get at the airport and they car rental and they put the driving in my name. So here I
They already you're the DD. They already designated you.
He was a designated driver.
am. The second night when Larry and another young brother who actually came from California, they wanted to go out. I said, I'm staying. So the car and the other brother stayed and they went out. Then they came home like late and then they had to get up early Sunday morning to go to Hopkins Bay. But I'm the driver, so I'm going to make sure that I sleep because I got to drive. But you know when you know your capacity and you know what you can as far as where you are in your awareness, I won't play. And I will, you guys know me. I'm going to say I'm going to bed because I got to get up in the morning because it's just that's just what I do. And it's those things to stay in focus helps me to stay the course. So this is a part of the process, and I thank
Yeah,
God for you
yeah,
guys because iron sharpens iron.
yes, absolutely. So I think we can conclude by saying that everything that was said here to me, if we had just one dynamic takeaway from the whole conversation, is that humanity is best preserved in community.
Mhm. Yes.
Support.
Yep.
Wayne had support
Mm,
when he was at that low.
mm.
John leans into support. In fact, he's represents support in his profession. He's a supporter of humanity. And my gift and my expression in life is certainly that of community. And
Yes.
when I say community, it's that humanity, our natural habitat is community. When we are separate and apart, when we are uh, on an island to ourselves,
Hmm.
right? And that's what a lot of us, when we don't know what to do, that's what in times like this, in these times in which we see the world that appears to be trying to keep us apart, then the question becomes in that state of separation, can I navigate this life? And the
Right.
answer to that is no.
No.
The invitation is for more community, more relationship, more love, right? More affirming one another, and a more authenticity
Mhm.
to leaning into what our true nature is.
Mhm.
And we can conclude here that what do you do to remain balanced and stable uh, and uh, and humane in a world that is certainly distracting us. And I think the answer to that is more union, more common union or
Yeah.
community. See, that word community comes out of, you got common unity.
Yeah.
That word, the root is common, and that in unity. And so we're all being, like John said earlier, invited to turn within, to pause in all of this chaos, because you cannot fix the chaos.
Right.
When it becomes a stage of chaos, that's based on the way we were thinking when the chaos was created, and we can never solve that chaos with the same mindset or the same level of thinking that created the chaos. There has to be a transformation. There has to be a turning within. There has to be a return to our first love, which is our nature, which is love. And so, thank you guys for spending the time today and coming and sharing. My community is listening to this. I'm sure your community will listen to this, and I'm sure that something have been said or expressed that resonates with someone to hopefully help them to navigate these times. And but I think we can bundle all of what was said up by saying that this is the time for us to turn to our common union, which is love, our community.
Yep.
The community of humanity, which is one.
Yep.
Beautifully said, my friend.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. So, unless you guys have a last word, John or Wayne, we're gonna.
Well, I want to say, hey, thanks for meeting, guys. I believe it or not, I'm getting ready to head out to go to an event. I am, and like you said, man, you got to enjoy life.
Yeah.
You play hard and you work hard. And I think it's Jim Rohn again says, when you're playing, don't think of work. And when you're working, don't think of playing. So I love my clients. I love dream building. It's in my mind, and I might be in a space with maybe somebody that I can work with, but I want to forget it. I don't want to have to be like 24/7 thinking, "Ooh, dream building." Let my
Absolutely.
tongue and just enjoy myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Wayne, hold down the country of Belize until we get back.
There we go.
And John, I don't know what's happening in San Antonio out there in the Southwest, but you're there for a reason and a purpose.
Yeah. Some
And hold
super
it.
important, exciting things, which I'm not going to talk about on this session.
Okay.
I'll talk offline about, but there's
Yes.
some great things that are happening, and I am
Yeah.
super excited to share it with you.
Yeah.
But I love these times we get to share
Yeah.
together. So thank
Absolutely.
you, brother.
Well, you hold down the west side. I got the east side, and there are. I feel like this is the greatest moment to be alive,
Mm.
and I think what is emerging is so dynamic that there has to be a new landscape, and so all of what we see happening is a excavation of a landscape that no longer can serve humanity in this new age, in this new era, in this new moment. And so my word is to fear not, right? But there is we're more so in transformation than we are in trouble.
Yes, sir.
I love. Now I'm feeling that.
Yeah. The
That
world.
was good.
It seems like the world's in trouble, but when you look at it from the perspective of the divine, the world is in transition.
Yep.
Good,
Yep.
my
Yep.
friend.
I agree.
Yeah.
That
So-
would allow me to roll over and go to sleep and
Yeah.
stop worrying.
So
It's that mantra. Thank you for
yeah.
that.
So like the master teacher says, be of good cheer.
Hey.
I have overcome,
Hey.
and so have you.
All right, brothers.
So until next time, my friend, you guys be blessed, and we'll get together before the year end for another live session of Coach's Corner. Thank you, everyone.
By the way, keep in mind that the Monday after Thanksgiving is going to be the annual summit. It's going to be virtual. I'm going to be getting some more information to you guys because this year it's virtual. The Sankofa Mastermind is going to be virtual. And the plan is, I've been talking to Alex, the DJ, on the cruise. 2027, we might look at doing a cruise Sankofa Mastermind Summit.
All right, let's talk.
Count me in.
Ah! All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Blessings.
All right. Bye-bye.